Welcome guys to my new video. In the last video we are learning all about C loops and statements, and now we will start learning what is an array. Also in the next part of my video we will discover what all about strings. So subscribe to my channel and let's start our new video. Arrays. Arrays are used to store multiple values in a single variable, instead of declaring separate variables for each value. To create an array, define the data type, like int, and specify the name of the array followed by square brackets. To insert values to it, use a comma-separated list, inside curly braces, like this example. We have now created a variable that holds an array of 4 integers. Access the elements of an array. To access an array element, refer to its index number. Array indexes start with 0, 0 is the first element, 1 is the second element, etc. This statement accesses the value of the first element, 0. In my numbers, the value of the first element is 25. Now, how to change an array element? To change the value of a specific element, refer to the index number. In the last example, if I need to change the value of the first element to 33, after the declaration of the array I write my number 0, equal to 33. And finally I get 33 instead of 25. Loop through an array. You can loop through the array elements with the for loop. The following example outputs all elements in the my numbers array. Set array size. Another common way to create arrays is to specify the size of the array and add elements later. Using this method, you should know the number of array elements in advance, in order for the program to store enough memory. You are not able to change the size of the array after creation. Get array size or length. To get the size of an array, you can use the size of operator, like the first example. Why did the result show 20 instead of 5, when the array contains 5 elements? It is because the size of operator returns the size of a type in bytes. You learned from the data types chapter that an int type is usually 4 bytes, so from the example above, 4 by 5 it's mean 4 bytes x 5 elements equals 20 bytes. Knowing the memory size of an array is great when you are working with larger programs that require good memory management. But when you just want to find out how many elements an array has, you can use the following formula, which divides the size of the array by the size of one array element, like the second example. Making better loops. In the array loops section in the previous chapter, we wrote the size of the array in the loop condition, ILT, 4. This is not ideal, since it will only work for arrays of a specified size. However, by using the size of formula from the example above, we can now make loops that work for arrays of any size, which is more sustainable. What is a multidimensional arrays? In the previous chapter, you learned about arrays, which is also known as single-dimension arrays. These are great, and something you will use a lot while programming in C. However, if you want to store data as a tabular form, like a table with rows and columns, you need to get familiar with multidimensional arrays. A multidimensional array is basically an array of arrays. Arrays can have any number of dimensions. In this chapter, we will introduce the most common, two-dimensional arrays, 2D. Two-dimensional arrays. A 2D array is also known as a matrix, a table of rows and columns. To create a 2D array of integers, take a look at the following example. The first dimension represents the number of rows, 2, while the second dimension represents the number of columns, 3. The values are placed in row order, and can be visualized like this table. Let's talk about the strings. Strings are used for storing text or characters. For example, hello world is a string of characters. Unlike many other programming languages, C does not have a string type to easily create string variables. Instead, you must use the char type and create an array of characters to make a string in C, like this example. Note that you have to use double quotes. To output the string, you can use the print function together with the format specifier %s to tell C that we are now working with strings. Access strings. Since strings are actually arrays in C, you can access a string by referring to its index number inside square brackets. This example prints the first character, 0, in greetings. Note that we have to use the %C format specifier to print a single character. Modify strings. To change the value of a specific character in a string, refer to the index number, and use single quotes, like this example. Loop through a string. You can also loop through the characters of a string, using a for loop, like the first example. And like we specified in the arrays chapter, you can also use the size of formula, instead of manually write the size of the array in the loop condition ILT, 5, to make the loop more sustainable. Another way of creating strings. In the examples above, we used a string literal to create a string variable. This is the easiest way to create a string in C. You should also note that you can create a string with a set of characters. This example will produce the same result as the example in the beginning of this page. Why do we include the \0 character at the end? This is known as the null terminating character, and must be included when creating strings using this method. It tells C that this is the end of the string. Differences. The difference between the two ways of creating strings is that the first method is easier to write, and you do not have to include the \0 character, as C will do it for you. You should note that the size of both arrays is the same, they both have 13 characters. Space also counts as a character, by the way, including the \0 character. Special characters used in strings. Because strings must be written within quotes, C will misunderstand this string, and generate an error like this example. The solution to avoid this problem is to use the \escape character. The \escape character turns special characters into string characters. This is 3 examples how to use the \. This is other popular escape characters in CR, like the new line, new tab, and null. That's all for today. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and see you in next video.